It is No Gifts Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gum shit. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
And I'm Jenny Anchondo.
We are back with Julie Cole from Mabel's Labels, and a quick shout out. So we talked in the last episode where we had her on. Julie was our very first guest on the show when we started out. And I do want to give a shout out to that episode. It's in our first season. I want to say it's episode 3. And we really, it's when we fell in love with it, right? We talked about morning routines and like making your kids self-sufficient and not being the mom that, you know,
the enable table.
The enable table. She, you know, if my kids came to me in the morning and said that I need a dozen donuts, I would laugh in their face. Like, you know, like I need advance notice. So it's definitely worth a rewind. It's definitely worth listening to. We've got her back again today because we wanted to continue the conversation.
Yes. And we've been talking about, I think it's so interesting to have sort of a parent mentor, so to speak, for our ages of our kids, because our kids are little. We know that we have listeners from all ages and stages, actually lots of grandparents as well. And Julie has 6 children, so it's 3 teens and then 3 in their 20s.
That's
did I make
correct.
that up?
No, you're right.
Okay.
I've got 5 in college right now and one left in high school. Right?
Go, Julie. Good thing Mabel's Labels
5
is very
more labels.
successful.
Everybody go buy labels.
Good thing the labels are say 5 in college.
Yeah.
And that's not some like, hey, it's Canada and they pay for healthcare in college situation, is it?
No. Yeah. No, it's busy. But that's, you know, when you pack them in tight, they do go off one year after the next,
they sure
right?
do.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were talking about staying connected, and it's funny because I have a fair amount of friends whose kids are going into college, and some of them are saying like, you must call me every single day. And it's like, okay, that's probably a little delusional. That's not going to happen. How do you do it with those college age kids in terms of staying connected?
And really, should I be laying the groundwork now?
Well, that's it. And I, you know, when you said your friends are like saying you need to call me every day, like, no, make it so they like calling you. You know, you shouldn't have to tell them if you've done all the groundwork, then they're going to want to call you and fill you in. And you're more a coach then, right? And they're going to check in with you and they want to tell you if they're having a hard time with a course or if they're, you know, done well on a midterm or whatever. So I think if you do the right things before they go to college, then you're going to hear from them. But also it depends on their personalities. Like I've got a kid who calls me every day, and then I've got a kid who I'm like, when they're away, it's like out of sight, out of mind. They forget I'm alive.
I think that's so
like,
true. So I don't want anybody listening to think, oh gosh, I didn't lay the groundwork and now my child never calls me.
Oh, yeah, no.
I just think there's certainly people who loved their family life, love their parents, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, exactly. They just get so caught up in what they're doing and they're just like, oh, right, I've got that family. I should probably check in. So with those kids, we have to connect on a Sunday night. You know, we might have the odd text or whatever, but we'll have a phone call on a Sunday night for my kids who like disappear and I never hear from. But again, some of them I'm like, oh my, you're calling me again. Interesting. Okay.
That's me with my mom. Like I call her on my way to everything.
Yeah.
Like literally constantly. I'll call her when I leave the studio. I'll call her when I get home. I'll call her when the girls go to bed. Like constantly. Yeah. And then I think my brothers are the opposite.
Right. So,
you know.
Sometimes that happens. But my boys are very connected.
What's the groundwork then that we're laying at the ages of 1 to 8 years old?
I know. You guys have the little ones. So, I mean, communication probably feels really easy right now. But I do think that you can like get some things going now that will carry through. And a few things that I remember kind of prioritizing when they were little was I always, no matter what I was doing, I always thought greetings and salutations were important. So if they walked in the house, I dropped what I was doing and was like, good to see you, hug, kiss, how was your day? And then when somebody is leaving the house, the same thing, have a great day. And we all do it with each other. And it just is taking that moment to connect. And even now, if I've got a 22-year-old at home right now working for the next month and, before they go back to college. And whenever they walk in the house after work, they come over and kiss me and say, hi, Mom, you know, how was your day? And I'm like, wow, 22. So you develop those habits. And, you know, sometimes kids talk about really boring things, like talk about Pokemon, right? Like, Mom, what's your favorite Pokemon? I'm like, I don't have a favorite Pokemon. Okay, it's Michu or whatever. And like taking an interest in what they're interested in. I know sometimes it's boring and like, It's not your thing, it's their thing. But if you listen to all their little stories or hey, watch me, I'm going to jump off the diving board now. If you take an interest and show interest in these funny little things now, then they're going to keep telling you things. If they feel like they bore you or that you're more interested in your phone than you are in them, then they're going to stop. When they become tweens and teens and they're more interested in what their friends have to say anyway, they already think that you aren't that interested. So even though the things they're talking about might not be your, number one topic of interest, always pretend you're interested or get interested, learn about it. Like
Totally.
I took my 11-year-old, I paid for flights to take my 11-year-old to a Pokemon Go Fest and walked around a park for 2 days in the cold.
That was so big back in the day.
It's
my
big
kids still do it.
Is it still? Okay,
yeah.
it
My
is still.
adult kids still do it. And it's great because just a few of them, but it's something that they have in common. So when they come home,
fun.
they'll be like, let's go Pokemon going, or I'm going to go catch them all. That's what they tell me. I'll be like, where are you going? Going to catch them all. So, you do these things. Did I want to spend 2 days in a cold park wandering around catching Pokemon? No. But was it something? And then, that kid was 11 then, and now they're 18 and they're like, Mom, we have our show. It's Breaking Bad. Do I want to watch Breaking Bad? No. I don't like anything violent. I don't watch anything with guns or have some weird thing like cartel in it but I watch it because it gives us something to connect on and it's our thing that we do together. So, that even you start that when they're young, and then when they're older, I see parents trying to drag their teens into their interests. So they're like, but I love golf, so I'm going to take my kid golfing, or I love going to the gym, so I want to take, or I want. Instead, what do they like doing?
That's so damaging, I think, too, especially when you mention something like gym, just something that can be really personal.
Yeah. And also just what about letting
me?
them drag you into their interests, like the Breaking Bad or the Pokemon Go? I've got a kid who's pretty nerdy and is getting ready to go to Vegas for this Fallout. It's like a big Comic-Con thing. He's putting a costume together, and I'm like, hey, can I come to the craft store with you and see what you're going to get for your helmet that you're going to decorate?
My mom is that exact same way.
Yeah.
Got into watching basketball with my brothers. Got into just so many random things with us, which is really fun.
I love how intentional you're talking about being with it. It's something that I honestly have to remind myself of. Look, we get busy. We have busy jobs. You have a busy job. We have busy lives. But even sometimes my boss at work, when I go to talk to him, does not look up from his computer when we speak.
Right.
And I'm like, you are not invested.
Yes.
Even just the act of putting down my phone, making eye contact with my kids when they walk into a room and letting them know in this and every moment, you are the most important thing in this room. When we are in a room together, you're the most important thing to me. And I do see that. I think it's also interesting. And again, there are things, especially with young kids, there's this kind of weird roadmap of things that your kid is supposed to be interested in, that all the other kids are interested in also, and therefore all the other parents are interested in. And because they're so popular, there is a setup for them. They're easy to access. They're everywhere. They take very little effort, right? Not all the kids are into those things. So when you've got a quirky kid who might be into something totally different, like the idea of saying, hey, you lead me to where you want to go and let's figure out how to make this happen.
Exactly. And that is what's going to keep you connected to them when they're teens. And even doing things like, I was the trainer on their hockey bench for my girls. So it meant I was at every hockey game on the bench. And if somebody got hurt, I was pulled out the Barbie Band-Aids, whatever. But it was a way that I was just involved in something that interested them. So I think, keeping those lines of communication are about meeting your kids where they are and also knowing their different communication styles. Like my one who's 16 now, my youngest Finian, he is, after a day at school, he's peopled out. Talk about neurospicy. He is peopled out. He's overstimulated. I actually have him in a very small private school because of that. A public school would be way too peoply and way too flashy, fluorescent lights and lockers slamming, just would not be the learning environment for him. So I had to really get out of the habit of when he popped in the car, me saying, how was your day? What did you do? Because he can't do that. And I had to shut up and let this kid, he's having his restraint collapse. He's been kind of masking all day and that's exhausting. So I need to give him some time to just And then other kids, hop in the car or walk in the door from the school bus and they're like, Mom, you're never going to believe what happened, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But you have to respect their different communication styles if you want to stay connected with all of them and have different expectations around those because they're all different.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I think the other important thing is not to assign value to either of those situations where it doesn't exist. Like, for example, the kid who might be quiet, like my husband is an introvert, right? Like he spends all day talking to people. He is in a managerial role in his job. People come to him with questions and problems. And frankly, at the end of the day, he's done. Yeah. Like he doesn't want to talk to me. And my first thought sometime is, I should probably pack. Like I should probably move.
Yeah,
like
me too.
What have I done wrong?
If you need to move out, me too, because my husband also doesn't want to talk to me. At the
you extroverts can stick together.
Well, exactly. When my son gets in the car and is quiet, like it's very important for me to intentionally not assign a backstory to that, right? Like the backstory is he's tired. Like not, you don't like me, you're hiding something terrible happened. Why aren't you talking to me? My friend's daughter talks to her. Like, why doesn't my son talk to her? Like all of those other kinds of things. Like you're just quiet.
He's just having some quiet time. But at the same time, if you think, I wonder if something happened at school. You can be doing tuck-in or later when you're talking, just be like, tell me something about your day. You can be more specific, not like fine, right? You don't want to get fine.
I get sure
like, tell me something like that you learned today, or tell me a challenge you faced at school today, or tell me something that happened at recess. Or who did you play with? Steven? Did you play with Michael? Like, ask them questions like that, and then you can pull things out. And if you get into the routine of asking after they've had some time to chill, they just don't want to be interrogated. But then if you ask meaningful questions, and that might even just be like, if you do that dinner table thing, we were always like, dinner table was tough because we had people coming and going all the time, right? But you can still find those moments. I would be like, hey, I'm going grocery shopping, buddy. I want you to come with me. I noticed you said something earlier in this. I wanted to just follow up on that. What did you mean by that? Is there something going on that, and then the other thing parents do with their teens that can be really rough is and I have to watch this very much because I'm a fixer. Like people come to me, I'm like, oh, I've got a solution for that. But sometimes they just want to tell you. So with kids, they stop talking to their parents because they think their parents aren't listening because the parents just try and fix it. Really, they just want to tell you. So then after they tell you, just do a lot of listening and then just be like, did you want me to try and help you solve this, or did you just want to rant for a bit? And they'll let you know. So I think we can't rush to problem solving it for them. Again, we can coach because they do feel like if you rush to problem solving that you're actually not listening.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, I know that you don't use the word grounded. Yeah. You also don't use the word curfew.
Right.
So that's interesting. But then what's the thought behind it? We're not at those phases yet, but we will be soon.
So it boggles my mind that I feel like people create their own monsters. Teenagers are fantastic humans. Yeah, they're going through hormonal stuff and they're finding themselves and there's social stuff going on. But parents seem to make it harder on themselves by implementing rules that don't make sense and don't matter. If you have a rule, don't just be like, okay, everybody's got to keep their phones on the put their phones on the counter at 9 p.m. and that's it. You got to be like, guys, you know what? I was reading this study and it said that kids' brains really need to kind of have a screen break for about an hour before they go to sleep. So what do you think if we, do you have any ideas about what we could do to implement something? Because I think I would like to do something. And then, they might have suggestions, and then you'd be like, okay, why don't we nobody's got a good suggestion. Let's try this for a week. Let's put our things on the table. And then
what do you do for somebody that's like, that doesn't bother me. I can go to his bed fine with the phone.
Yeah, well, it depends on the kid, but I think it's fair to say, you know what? You are the parent, and you have to hold the boundaries. So you can be like, no, this is something our family's trying based on this research. And I wouldn't say because I said so ever. I always give a why. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you lose all power. And this is what I'm saying, pick the hill you want to die on. So curfew. And I remember dads, it's so misogynistic too, the way they'd be like, well, my daughter's not going to date till she's 16. I'm like, maybe she doesn't want to date. Why are you even saying stuff like that, right? So with curfews, parents are like, what time, what's your kid's curfew? And I'm like, there's no curfew. We don't, but they have to be home. It would be Mom, Mike's having a party tonight. I was thinking of going to it. Hey, that sounds like fun. Who's all going? The usual gang. Great. What time do you think you'll make it home? How's midnight sound? Yeah, that sounds good. Or actually, you know what? You got early practice. Why don't you be home by 11? Yeah, that makes sense, Mom. See you then.
Situational.
Oh my
discussion,
gosh. It's
communication.
It's not, and like, the same rules don't have to apply to everything. Like we had a rule growing up, like my dad had a curfew because he couldn't sleep unless we were all home. So it was midnight. But if we were out with a sibling at a party, he felt like we were all looking out for each other. So it could be a little bit later. So whatever works for your family. But I just think you don't have to have these hard rules without an explanation. And and the grounding, I've never understood. So what your kid did something wrong, so you're going to make them stay home with you. They're just going to be in their room probably because you probably aren't a great communicator or they don't want to be there or whatever. How's that helpful? Like, I want them out. Go.
What kind of punishments do you like or do you not do, or did you not do that?
I've probably never had to punish somebody. I will say I am a natural consequence guy. So, that's right.
You
don't want to wear your coat?
Yeah.
Go for it. Like, be cold. And the same with the teenagers. And I'll tell you my first experience with this, actually. This is quite interesting. So my eldest was away at college first year. And he, I guess, had midterm, or it was final exams. I don't remember exactly. But this also is my kid who has autism. So sometimes the executive functioning isn't great. He has to be scheduled. He always worked with an executive functioning coach. Anyway, I had heard from one of his friends' moms. She had texted me and said, hey, can you let Mac know that, to reach Matthew through me because his phone died or something? And I'm like, well, why would he be with Matthew? Oh, well, they're going to like some event. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I didn't know that they were going to this event or whatever. Maybe he was still in high school. I can't remember because I was at a hockey tournament with my girls. Anyway, so there's my son. He sneaks off, basically. He's sneaking off to do this thing during exams. And I'm away at a tournament and he's like, Mom, I know I'm busted. What's going to happen to me? And I'm like, well, I'm at a hockey tournament. We'll talk when I get home. So I get home and he's standing in the driveway waiting for his punishment. I'm like, so tell me about how this went down. And he's like, yeah, well, I didn't tell you I wanted to go because I knew you would say it's exam time and I should be focused. And I said, is that what I would do? Don't you think more based on my history? If you told me a month ago, I'd be like, hey, Mac, let's set out a schedule, a study plan for you so that you won't be in a position to have to cram for that exam and you'll be able to go to this with Matthew. He's like, you're right. You would have done that. And what else happened? He's like, well, I didn't wear a coat, so I was freezing the whole time. And also, I didn't actually budget for it, so I couldn't pay to get into the event. So he went all the way to this town. He couldn't get in the event. And then best ever, he runs into his uncle at the train station who rats him out to me as well. So I'm like, I don't need to punish you, buddy. There's no punishment. Nature did that. And that's it. Like, that's it. Like, it will just take care of itself. I've never been like, give me your phone. Never. Like, if you set up these things, then you kind of don't have to. Nature will take care of it.
It's also interesting, particularly with things like curfew and whatever else, you're also setting them up, I think, for the ability to make choices,
right,
as opposed to every choice being made for them. I remember my sophomore year of college, I was a resident advisor, and I'm not, proposing that people should feed their, teenage kids alcohol, but it was very clear on the first night of college for these kids who had had a drink before and who hadn't, who had very hard and fast rules in their life, and who had the power of choice, even implied choice.
Yes.
Because some of those kids went way off the rails the first night, and to the other kids, it was like, this is not really a very big deal.
Well, and that's the thing too. You've got to ask yourself, are my rules keeping them safe, or are my rules making them hide from me? And I always say, if a kid lies to me, that's on me. Why haven't I been a safe person for them to come and talk to? So we learned from my son who went and did that, that trip that he couldn't do anything with because he had no money and he was cold and got busted by several people. But why did he feel like he couldn't tell me? And it was because he felt like he had to hide it from me because he thought I would say you shouldn't go. But when I told him, hey, bud, we could have made a plan with a little bit more notice. And that is my history. I was able to say, remember remember this, remember that, remember how you haven't missed out on a lot of things because we plan for that accordingly. And that's why also with this kiddo, I never say, I never do, I told you so. So he went off to college and he didn't want any of his accommodations. So some of his accommodations as a kiddo with autism is that he can just listen to his lectures and somebody else is a note taker. Then he goes to the Office for Students with Disabilities and they will email him the notes. That way he can, from a processing. So he said the black and white thinking of a kid with autism, it wasn't fair for him to have accommodations. And of course, that's not true. Accommodations are there to put you at the same starting line as every other kid, right? So he wanted no accommodations. So of course, he didn't get them that first term. So he failed 2 courses. So I pick him up for Christmas and I'm like, how you feeling? He's like, well, Mom, I failed 2 courses. I'm like, that can happen. So now you'll owe me and Papa whatever $1,000 because that's a natural consequence that happens if you have to take a course again. I've already paid for the course, right? And first degree's on me. So if you fail a course and have to take it again, then that's skin in the game. That also keeps them very academically motivated because they don't want to. So I was like, oh gosh, that sucks. How much do you have in your account? Are you going to be able to pay for those, right? And again, not like punishment, just that's how that goes. And then he said, Mom, I should have just listened to you about those accommodations. And he just went on and on about that. Why don't I listen to you and whatever? And I said, dude, you're not the first 18-year-old kid who hasn't listened to his mother, Don't beat yourself up. You just, I just come from a level of experience, but that's how that goes. Don't sweat it. This is a lesson learned. Now we'll set up a meeting for students with disabilities and set up your accommodations. And he's like, yeah, I think clearly I need to do that. But I'm not going to make him feel bad for doing what a lot of 18-year-olds want to do, which is show some independence and then pay the price for it.
We live in a society right now, particularly with so much access to things and people's opinions on social media. We've talked about before on the show. I feel like I'm constantly barraged by these reels of people telling me I'm doing it wrong. And this is a different way. What do you say to critics who might be listening and saying, she seems a little too friendly with the kids, that this isn't really a mom. This is hey, we're...
Oh, ask my kids about that.
Because clearly it's working for you.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to be, I have got enough friends. I am not like going out for beers with my kids. I'm good. But I want to make sure that I am always accessible and that they will always call me. I also have advised them sometimes to learn how to not share too much with me. And I feel like this generation, I don't know if it was because of COVID and they all lived at home for so long or were sent home at that age where they were in their late teens. But, for example, I had one kid, they had a friend at school who was non-binary and wanted a tuxedo for prom, but the parents would only buy a dress for the child for prom. And so my kid came home and said, would you buy so-and-so a tuxedo? And I was like, well, for sure, I'll buy them a tuxedo. And then my kid said, yeah, because their parents won't let them. They'll only buy them a dress. And I said, well, that's where you should have shut up. Just ask me if I'll buy the tuxedo. I mean, I'm still going to buy the tuxedo because my house is a safe place. I always respect other parents, except when it comes to mental health, safety stuff. I'm always going to buy the tuxedo for a kid. I don't care anyone who listens to this and hates on me for that. It's always going to happen. So, at times I'm like, hey, that would have been a good time to stop talking. Just ask me to buy them. So sometimes I've kind of coached them about because I don't want to go behind other parents' backs and do things. So I'm like, you need to use some good judgment around that as well, But I am friendly with my kids. But the thing is, what we've set up is that they never they don't want to disappoint me. They don't want to cross me. They don't want to, make me not respect them.
Sure.
So they make good choices, right? So that's just the kind of thing that you want to. And then also they know that we're all real. I make mistakes and I apologize for it. And that's all right. Just role modeling that, hey, this is what I've learned from this. Sorry, Sass. You know what? As a mom, I've reflected on how I dealt with that. And I think I would have done it differently. And I think I would have done this. And I see this a lot too with my kids, my older kids' friends. They'll try and talk to their parents. They're in their early 20s and they'll be like, Dad, there's something about our relationship that I'm not happy with. And sometimes when you do this, it feels like this. And then Dad will respond with, well, I guess I'm just a bad dad then.
Oh, that's so cringy.
Right? And then guess what that is? Shut down. Yeah. So you know what? As a parent, you just have to be
So what is the response then?
I think the response is...
give somebody some help with that.
Yeah. I think you can be kids' perceptions can be wrong. And our perceptions can be wrong, but it doesn't matter. If that's their perception, that's their reality. So you can be like, tell me more about that.
Right. Why do you feel that way?
Why do you feel that way? Oh gosh, I don't remember that incident that way, but if that hurt you, I need to learn about this and I'm so very sorry.
Right. How would you have handled it? What was your expectation? All that other kind of.
But not in defensive, like just in like, wow, I did not know that landed that way. That was not my intention. And I'm so sorry that it did. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, because it could be a teachable moment. It really could be.
It is hard for people,
really
but why?
hard for people.
And that's why I say role model it. So then they are good at doing that too. And you bring that to your workplace. You bring that to your college roommate friends. And you bring that everywhere you go. And then people who are like that do have, more respectful and I think more satisfying interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, we've got to cut it off there. It's been such a pleasure. Please come back and see us again, whether you're in town or not. We could always connect with you via Zoom. Yes. Congratulations on all of your success. You certainly don't need those accolades from us. You've earned them on your own.
Thank you.
But it really is so refreshing to sit and get to spend an extended amount of time with you and just hear about how you did it. I know I'm walking away with a ton of information.
I was going to say especially, but a bunch of stuff. I guess we'll go with an able table and then we'll continue on.
My kids are going to be thrilled that we're not going to ground them. So, if nothing else, on behalf of my children.
The other thing is don't track them. Everybody tracks their teenagers. I'm like, I need to know where they are all the time.
Maybe Canada's a much safer place than the United States.
That's one piece I will not be taking from Julie. The rest. Thank you.
Good to see you again, Julie Cole, founder of Mabel's Labels, parenting expert, author. Mabel'sLabels.com and Julie Cole and Mabel's Labels on Instagram. Hey, we want to remind you to click like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you all the great content that we enjoy. New episode every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. on your favorite podcast platform. And if you do nothing else today, go find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you next time.